Hello and welcome to the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. With 4 race starts, we're going to start with our Category 4 riders, then 3, 2 and 1. Our riders lined up in yellow, that is our Category 1 riders. In green, our Category 2. In blue, Category 3 and Category 4.
They are moving really fast off the start line today. The pace up to 40 kph already in less than 200 metres. Now that's some acceleration out of the pen today. The matches are being burnt left, right and centre today in this Category 1 race. And if your box of matches is empty, you do not stand a chance. It's Tortoretto who is now doing the chasing with Gates and Veladres. They are trying to come across, and those 3 riders trying to bridge across from the large pack of Category 3 riders.
There's a lot of draft to be had from that big pack of 11 riders coming through. There's a lot of assistance to be taken, and they are making the most. Here we go, the catch is made. He's caught the group, he's still in with them. They are at 39.6k, and that means that they are on to the climb. Remember though that there is a long way to go. He's going to hit the riser. He's got the pace, he's got the speed. It's going to be Daniel Gomez who's going to come and take victory. Hello and welcome. It's Sunday, it's Race Club time. It's our monthly final on the 28th of May. We have done with our qualifiers. All 3 were fantastic races on very different courses, but we are now in to when it really counts. My name is Mark Payne. I'm joined in the studios by Emma Martin. Emma, we saw very different racing in those qualifiers on those different courses, but we have a course today that is really going to suit our climbers. Are you expecting the same names up there?
Well, it's going to be interesting because we've had some very similar names, but also some new riders in the top 5 this month throughout May. We've been to Colombia, we've been to Australia. Today we are in Arabia for the final. You know, will Knudsen finish second again? Knudsen has finished second in Category 1. Every qualifier throughout May, that is the challenge today. Will it be second for Knudsen? But here is the course we're going to see. So 45 kilometres, 1,041 metres of climbing. It is a massive Category 1 climb at the end with 690 metres on that climb to the checkered flag. It's 10.5 kilometres in length with a maximum gradient 16.5% today. So there's some really steep sections. Overall, that final climb, 6.5% average gradient, but there are some kickers on there and a really steep section towards the end.
And this is a course for anybody who has regularly been watching that people will know has got some key moments on the way through, particularly the steep section and that midway climb underneath the tunnels that comes from 16.5k right the way up for 3.5 kilometers. Really key because it's up through the tunnels, you drop down and then the climb back out. One of the key points in the racing today. That's one of the key trigger points, as is the little dip just before 8.1k. We'll see who can respond to that terrain, who can use it to their advantage. These are the finals, though, so we have riders racing for team prizes as well as individual prizes in each of our 4 categories. And the first category that will be going away will be category number 4. Now you get the first of our race starts. A Category 4 riders lined up and ready to go. And we have our teams with us today, the CM team, the Red Furies, Sprocket Science and Team Warriors here today. And a real who's who of Category 4 racing on MyWhoosh.
Oh, absolutely. 21 riders on the start sheets today. Some individual riders as well. So Maillard has had a third this month, individual rider today. But the team competition should be absolutely furious here because the Red Furies, Sprocket Science and Team Warriors all have 2 riders in each who have top 5'd this month. So this is going to be seriously competitive, not just in the individual competition, but in the team competition today.
It's going to be really, really tight. Don't forget, you can keep up with all of the results on the MyWhoosh website. It's mywhoosh.com/results. And once we start racing those live results, we'll be rolling on the site. So our riders lined up and ready to go.
So with 15 seconds to go on the countdown on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club, this is the final for May. This is Category 4, our red jersey wearing riders, and this is the first start today. So away go our Category 4 riders. They are up, they are out, they are up to pace quickly. As they come out of the start pen, it's Villada leading the out. Sartorio is there as well, so is Briodi and Mallard and Decker. But it's Sartorio Ramos doing his normal thing. He's normally up hard and fast out of the start pen, pushing on those pedals and leading the pack out quickly.
I tell you something, if there's anything you could predict about a Sunday Race Club start, it is that Renato Storia Ramos is on it. He's absolutely, this man must have like 16 espressos before he hits the start line. He's absolutely explosive. There's no dimmer switch for this young man in the morning. He's like a light switch. You turn it on and you are floodlit. He's absolutely chucks the watts down and away he goes. So he is leading us out as per normal. But as usual, the response comes quickly, and the rider's very aware that they can't afford to give him much room at all. And Ramos riding for that Red Furies team, furiously out from the start line.
Absolutely, and it's Briodi who pulls back to that wheel and actually goes up and over the top. There's still a bit of a stretch on the top right-hand corner of your screen. You can see that the pace is not off this group, so Ramos may well have been caught, but Briodi has gone over the top and is continuing to pull at 4 watts per kilo. Now that is a big pull on the front there this early on. They are not even 1 kilometre into this race, and on this downhill section they are up to 50 kph at the moment.
Yeah, really quick start off through town at the moment with the shadows just being cast across the roadway here. You can just see, though, the pace. I mean, 100 rests per minute. It's at 174 beats per minute. Surely this is not sustainable. This is about really putting people in trouble early and stretching your legs out. Interesting to see Alex Pleasure behind, really pushing. Quadrelli in the mix, Cadabona, Noack, Suarez is in there. And I think today's racing is going to be a mix of two things. It's going to be riders not wanting to wait for the final climb, which is 10.5 kilometers long, and wanting to do some damage beforehand. And the riders who know that they can climb, waiting for those climbs and looking at where they can do some damage. Really interesting course, really interesting mix of riders in Category 4.
Well, it is indeed, and with a 10-kilometre climb at the end of this 45-kilometre race today, you know, some of these riders are going to lose minutes, not just seconds, and having a fast start is, it's a really interesting tactic, isn't it? Because I think some of these riders are just sitting up and going, no, off you go. I'm not going to chase you. Who's going to chase you? And they're going to be looking at each other as to who's going to do the chasing.
I think if I was a rider who wanted to maybe rip this up early, I would be going hard now. You can just see Alex Pleasure in here, a rider who rode well in the MyWhoosh Championships, continuing to push. And you can see 73 rests per minute. He's going to be out the saddle. He's going to be kicking down hard. And he's stringing this group out at the moment. The number of riders with their power in the red on the right-hand side of your screen is indicative of the amount of riders who are having to push. And look at that line.
I think they're about to split this group, but let's not forget 21 riders on the start sheets today. That's a big Category 4 start list, and it's fantastic to see that we're seeing big start lists now in Category 4 and Category 3, not just Category 2 and Category 1. So more and more riders coming through.
And Category 3, the next set of riders ready to go on our start line. Category 3, another big race field, even bigger than Category 4, with some very class teams in here. You've got the Cycle Path team, Go Hard team. You see we've got Sultan team with us as well. 3 of our teams here with the surprise team, United Knights and Team Lackey as well involved. But some super strong teams in here.
Oh, absolutely. So the Go Hard team, Santiago, Dominion, Valedres, Valencia, Monella, every single one of those riders has had a top 5 place this month. However, United Knights, Gakes, Tortoretto and Tisalius, as well as Dadson and Staples, that has got to be the competition today.
Well, let's see if anybody else can butt in and try and take it out. I mean, people like Psychopath, Stogo, Milano, Escribano, such a strong set of teams. We're in with Staples from the United Knights team. He could be the man to take it on this climb. We know he can climb. He's got polka dot jerseys to his name. Will today be the day?
Well, we shall wait and see.
So here we go into a race start. It's Category 3. The time for rehearsals is done. The time for qualifiers are over. This is the final, and we Oh, go. It is a time to show us exactly what you're made of if you are one of our riders in category 3. Will we see a fast kick from the line? Will we see tactical racing into the climb? It's not going to be long before we find out the riders kicking from the start line. And at the moment, the pace building. 240 watts to stay in that group. Just in flicking up to 250, 290s coming up. The riders really are having to move on. They will not want to be distanced at this stage. So our riders away. Dadson in here, a teammate of Staples, and Mark Dadson in his early days on the platform, always going to be on the attack, always going to be trying to go clear. More considered approach to the racing, but he's always improving. He's getting quicker, he's getting faster. But of course, the faster you go, the more the competition improves as well, because you move up through the categories.
Well, that's it. But also everybody encourages each other as well, which I think is absolutely key. You know, these riders coming together from all over the world and forming teams on the MyWhoosh platform.
So the teams able to talk to each other, and you can see at the moment Pleasure and Quadrelli just opening up the throttles. They are the riders on the same team here, and this is surely going to be a case that they want to go clear. So Pleasure, Quadrelli at the moment opening this up. You've got Elos behind from the Red Furies trying to respond to this. You've got Noak coming through from Sprocket Science as well. So it looks to me like Noak is going to come through on the heels of Suarez. And we've seen such a battle over the races between Mako Suarez from Team Warriors and Quadrelli now as they go on the climb. But you look at this, you've got Pleasure and Quadrelli on the front. They're not easy enough here. They have done some serious damage. I don't think we're going to see a big group in any way, shape or form coming even into the first climb.
Well, I think they are taking this group down a bit, because 21 riders started, and that is not 21 riders in front of us. So the category 4 group already split 10 riders clear, and it's Finati, surprisingly, who's been caught in no man's land at the moment, 6 seconds back. Now, Dario Finati, one of the strong riders in here, Maillard as well. So Maillard has had a 3rd place this month. Finati, also another strong attacking rider, but then not made this group. So 10 riders now, down from 21 already in less than 5k.
That is some going as the riders start to make their way out from the dip over through the palm trees. On the right of your screen, category 4. On the left hand side, category 3. Currently at 1 3/4 kilometers covered. So making their way out of town. You see the rise in front of them starting to stretch these riders out. What was a bunch being stretched out, and it's Mark Dadson on the attack. It's Dadson who's starting to put the pressure on. He's got Astorga immediately behind him. So Astorga riding for the Psychopath team, Dadson riding for the United Knights team. They're in front of Nogueira. Nogueira, of course, riding very strongly. So one of those riders that we know is always going to be in the mix. But I think we have got a cracker of a race in all our categories today. Everybody seems to want to play hard from the word go.
Well, absolutely. And I think with the volume of riders and the number of teams, you know, in this competition today, it is absolutely anybody's race, and everybody is all out strategically thinking about how they take the win.
And we've seen in category 4, I mean, if that's not inspiration for these riders, I don't know what is. We've seen the racing being put down really early. You've seen the team on the attack from Sprocket Science really ripping it up and breaking the group down. 50% of the field taken out of contention for the individual prizes straight away. And this group could take heart from that. And if they are watching the live feed, guys, remember, the prizes are between yourselves. It doesn't matter who crosses the finish line first. It's all about who finishes in your category in the top 5, because our riders race in individual categories 4, 3, 2 and 1. And of course there's the team prizes at stake today, equal prizes between our men's and women's races.
Well, currently, Matt, I'm looking at the results on my screen from segment number 1, and there's some riders in category 4 who have missed the split, and riders we wouldn't expect to. So Carbona has missed the split. Agudela has missed the split. Briodi, who we saw attack early on, has missed the split. And as we mentioned, Finati as well. So some key riders in category 4 missing that split and on the wrong side of that attack.
And They are going to have absolutely everything to do to get back. It's going to be so hard to pull back against such a strong group in front. And I think we are going to see a really different selection because of that. And it does mean the group in front have got to keep on running because they won't want the group behind to come back. So it's not all one way. It's not just the front group giving it out to the back group. They put the pressure on themselves as well to stay clear. But they've forced that split. They've put that attack in. That's on the right-hand side of your screen. Left-hand side, you can just see at 3.5 kilometers, the riders in Category 3 now into the next of our segments here. Great graphics here in Arabia. It's one of the amazing worlds you can ride on here. And a quick heads up, make sure you stay tuned at the end of the show for a quick sneak peek of what else is coming up in Arabia. So make sure that's in there. We will trail a little bit more, give you a quick reminder, but make sure you stay right through to the end of today's racing. Now, just watching Esteban Martinez at the moment, sat in this group. You can see top left-hand side of your screen. The watts are flicking between black and green. That's as he moves in and out of the draft. Highs behind in green means it can keep his numbers down and use less energy for the speed he's traveling, and that's going to be really key.
Yeah, absolutely. As this group continue just to roll on and continue to pull him in, so the group all about to come back together again and wide across the road, indicating very similar pace from the riders in this group.
Yeah, very much so. Now, this group's still holding big numbers here, Emma, but we're not really at the key points where we saw that damage being done in Category 4, but they're moving on well. They've been riding for 6, nearly 7 minutes now. So the time is ticking on. They're at 4K. It looks like everybody's settled down a little bit.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it? So it's looking like very different racing within the two categories that have already started today. So Category 4, a very attacking race already with a big split in that group, settled down into one smaller group at the front of 10 riders, which now look to have settled back a little bit, but it does mean that 11 riders didn't make that group. Category 3 on the left-hand side, a much bigger group on the road at the moment. Now, we do know they have already shed riders, but nowhere near the number of riders that have been shed in that Category 4 race.
So 2 categories already racing, Category 4 and 3 on the bottom of your screen. Categories 1 and 2 at the top of your screen. The next group of riders to go will be Category 2. They are the riders in green, and another very strong team competition in here, where we're going to see those battles for the team prizes. 3 riders out of 5 riders to count for the team competition. The cumulative time for your fastest 3 riders, the time that counts, and those with the lowest cumulative team time for those 3 riders will be the leaders at the end. Don't forget, of course, all of the results given you are live here, coming out to you on the Sunday Race Club. They will move to unofficial when the racing ends, and once verified will then be an official result. But that process continues right from before the racing starts, right the way through the racing and afterwards as well. So keep your eye on the MyWhoosh.com website /results for the full results. Changing to official now. The end of segment number 1, we saw Alex Pleasure going through 3 minutes 17 in Category 4. It's going to be a faster time in Category 3, but let's take a look at Category 2 as they go in to the start line and get ready to go. The UAE Falcons team up against Cafe de Colombia, as well as the draft team. They're the first of our 3 teams. We always see the UAE Falcons represented, even when we don't have the team competition. Very proud of their team name. And we've also got the teams from Hubbard's, Steel Wheels, and Team Tapas coming in to the mix as well, because it is our finals. Category number 2, Emma, we've got some teams that we've regularly seen. People like Hubbard's in there, the Falcons, Steel Wheels, to Columbia. Who's your money on today?
Well, it's a really good question, actually, because do you know what? We've seen a number of Category 2 riders progress to Category 1 this month, which really has opened up the field a lot. So Cafe de Colombia, Oviedo, Carvajal, Moreno, Caligula, strong group. Don't discount Hubbard's. Kranich is in there, so is Bogren and Kirchner, and also Team Tapas. You know, Hewler and Spratt in there with Giuliano. So it could be anybody's. So we're in with Kranich on the start line. The power goes down as the go takes place, and away they are. They are off. This is category 2 on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. It is the May final, and they are up and out, and a stretch on the group at the front is just seeing Kranich just getting missed off the back there, but quickly up and quickly on the pedals back into the group as Cadiz is the rider we are currently in with, well and truly in the mix in the middle of that, because Spratt is the rider with Smythe leading this out from the front.
And Nicholas Spratt can climb. We know he can do that. He'll want to be in the mix when we hit those hills. He won't want to give anything away. His team containing Hoala, Giuliano and Bruce. Very, very strong team. Tapas team. And regulars finishing right up the UAE Falcons. Hassan Al-Ramethri, Ahmed Al-Tanajian, Said Hamadan. Of those riders, Al-Ramethri likes a long climb.
He does,
that's
indeed.
What we've got at the end of this, so that he's going to be looking forward to that. But he's got to stay in with that group, and that has maybe been his Achilles heel on the run in to the big climbs. He's got to stay with that group. We'll see whether that's going to be the case today. We do have a couple of riders not in teams, and that is Carvajal and Baltazar. And whilst it's Baltazar, a very strong rider in his own right, but they will be able to talk to each other, the two riders who are the two individual riders, because of course on MyWhoosh we have a built-in communications platform. So you don't need to go jump onto another platform, you don't need to pull in something like Discord. You literally have your own communications, so your team can talk to each other, turn the microphone on, and then you talk to your own teammates. Nobody else can hear it. It's just you and your teammates. So you can talk team tactics, who's on the attack, who needs to wait when you want to push hard. That really does ramp up the dynamic between the team. If you're not in a team, you can talk to any of the other individual riders in here. So at the moment, Smythe, who is on his way through for the draft team, can talk to Cadiz and Rodriguez, and they're his two teammates. At the moment, they're going to be going, we've got one rider off the front. It's Moreno who's gone. Who's going to go? Do we need to chase him? Do we want to go after Cafe de Colombia? Do we want to go after Moreno? Are we going to let him go? Are we not? He's pushing hard here. He's doing 6. Does anybody want to take this up? Or are we going to play it cool? And they can do that if they've got the breath to talk, of course.
Well, these are really interesting tactics from Cafe de Colombia to put a man up the road this early. Only 1.6 kilometres into this 45-kilometre race, and it is Moreno who is pushing on. And they're not chasing. They are not chasing Moreno. So at the moment, Moreno 7 seconds clear. Now Baltazar comes to the front, and that is one of our individual riders. So Baltazar is the rider trying to cover the move from Moreno as Baltazar pushes at 4.5 watts per kilo. Bruce is just coming up now as well, but the rest of the pack are not doing a lot of helping. So we are on this small climb, 3.4% gradient at the moment, and there is not a huge response coming from the others in the group. They are leaving Baltazar and Bruce to push this on.
They are now. Let's see what's going to happen as we go over the top. They're just starting to see these numbers go into the red, and in part that is because of the gradient, because of the climb. I can't imagine they're going to let Moreno go off the front. Cafe de Colombia, we talked about espressos for the team, for the riders for Ramos in category 4. Well, I'll tell you something. The Cafe de Colombia team are always strong at the start, and we saw that in the MyWhoosh Championships, them continually attacking. Will anybody emulate their tactics in Category 1? Well, they're our last group of riders to go. And this is a massive race field in Category 1. We have in our teams the UAE clan team, Beast Mode Pudding powered by Rose, Belgian Waffles, and the Italian Gelato squad. They're just part of the big team contingent here. In Category 1, some strong riders in the UAE clan team, of course, the team who are almost ever present. You've got the Coffee Climbers, maybe they will be the team to have their espresso this morning. Team Pinchos and Vuelta Colombia as well. And we've got a whole load of individual riders. In fact, quite a big pack of individual riders today.
Yeah, absolutely. So 53 riders on the start sheets and 8 teams today in Category 1. So this is going to be absolutely my prediction. Eyeballs out here because this team competition is going to be so hot. Belgian Waffles, Italian Gelato, constantly trying to beat the UAE clan team because they are just so strong. But also Beast Mode Pudding powered by Rose, Fawcett, Graves and Theme have been going really strongly recently.
Well, with 50,000 AED at stake for the team prize in Category 1, that's going to add into the mix. It's time to set our final category away here on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club Finals. And we are go. It is time to put the pedal to the metal to get those legs spinning faster than a food blender. This is the time to make sure our riders stay in the pack. The pack will move quickly. It's Category 1. Get left behind now. And the only time you're going to see these riders are going to be at the finish line because this group is moving quickly. We're at 25 miles now, 40 kilometers an hour within the first 200 meters. And this pack is winding itself up. We've got a prediction from Emma that it's going to be fast and furious. And I'll tell you something, this certainly is. This will run for a multi-block buster from start to finish. And will definitely be running out beyond Fast and Furious 10 because it's doing a great job already of shedding riders out of the back of the group. We're in with Zach Nair, experienced esports racer, a rider who's ridden it. He's been out and raced it. If it's got two wheels, he's been out and he's been competitive on it. Well, I'll tell you something, he's right in this mix. And it's going to be interesting to see which of our teams look to cover the moose, who looks to set the pace. It's Mr. X100 from the UAE clan team. Are they going to assert their dominance early on here and go, right, so our peloton, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to be piloting this all the way into landing at the other end. If you want a smooth ride, buckle your seatbelts because we're on our way.
Well, we are on our way indeed, as we are in with X100, but he's in the middle of that pack at the moment. Bjorkland, Mayer, Simmons, Graves, SS, Quintero, all in that group at the moment as they sweep round that right-hand bend. One big group on the road.
So Category 1, one big group. We've got such strong teams in here. Now, the UAE clan team have been the team to beat recently. Pablo Popovic, SS, Mr. X100 and Michael Knudsen. They are the four riders for the clan team. And as Emma said, Michael Knudsen regularly into second place. Will today be his day on the top step, or will he be in second place again? The Belgian Waffles have been our strongest squad for a long time. They were the team that beat the clan team, particularly when it came to finals, which must have been really galling for the clan team, because of course that's when the big prize money for the team are in there. But Martins Osborne with Justin Van Els up against it today, I think. Going to be very interesting to see how they get on as we go through. Good to see that the Beast Mode putting Power by Rose team, Russ Fawcett, Phil Graves in here, Simon Watson, Christoph Thiem. Will they go for this early on? Hassan Sultan right up here. Sultan moved up from Category 2, really found himself at home here in Category 1. Some great results from him in the past month, and since he's moved up, Kaminsky right in the mix. Olivier Simmons is in here. Looks like Thiem's in here, Walter's in here, Osborne is with us as well. So looks like that Beast Mode putting Power by Rose team have got plenty of representation as Simmons winds it up on the front. So Olivier Simmons winding it up at 6 watts per kilo. He doesn't want this to go slow at all. And the Team Pinchos team with Carsten Mayer, Jakob Bjorkland, Henry Oys, Olivier Simmons and Jonas Bjarhed could spring a surprise here on the big two, because they have got some serious strength in depth.
Yeah, absolutely. So really interesting to see what is going to happen today. We are still very much in the early stages of this race, but you can see there on that satellite navigation on the top right hand corner of your screen, we've got a number of groups at the moment. They are all fighting and frantic to get back on. And you can see this leading group here. One rider now trying to come across. We've got a group of riders behind. So this is now splitting, and this pack is becoming smaller as that rider crosses over, and we'll just see them touch onto the back of this pack, and they've made the juncture, but the others haven't.
Yeah, you can see that rider just coming across, just making the junction, just catching on as Simmons drops to the back. And this is one of the points you've really got to watch out for. If you've been on the front pushing hard, you ease off to let the group come past, or you don't have any choice and they go past because they've got more power. You've then got to jump into the back. You've got to get your pacing right and get the pressure down at the right time. So at the moment, Simmons is the rider just hovering around the back after pushing on at the front. And this is one of the things you've got to do. If you're not on the front, you get off and you rest quick. If you're not putting an effort in, get out into the wind, go rest on the way in and through, because that is going to be key. So Simmons at the moment there, just saw Mistakes 100 just ease off those pedals there, and may well have been just stretching out after they've gone off from the start. He's gone back into the group there, and he's pretty critical because he's the man who seems to be the spider at the centre of the web, pushing that team onwards. So that's category 1 on the left of your screens, right hand side of your screen. Alex Pledger on the offensive and has a gap in category 4 here, and that gap looks to me to be about 8 seconds if I'm not much mistaken, and that is a decent sized gap. Meanwhile, Simmons and Sultan again on the offensive, and look at this, SS and Mistakes 100 are very quickly marking this out. They've got Osborne right up there as well. They don't want to be caught the wrong side of a split, and that is one of the big risks with such a big group. If this group splits halfway down and you are the wrong side of it, you've got a lot of work to get back on.
You do indeed, and it's interesting to see the pace being kept high at the moment. Simmons just come off the pace there, but it is Betty and it is SS who are really still working. SS is now at the front of the group with Sultan. Osborne is there and Bjorklund's marking it, so is Cutler. Van Elst is there, so is Quintero, so is Nair and Kaminsky. So, and well, also Kayan is in there too. So some really strong riders have indeed made the juncture into this leading group, and while it is a leading group now, and we do have other groups in category 1 on the road, it is still exceptionally large. So a really large group now coming up for 4 kilometers into this race. They are halfway through segment number 1. It is a 2 kilometer segment, and it is there to give us an indication of the racing.
It is indeed, and going to be very interesting to see how that rolls. Just seeing Ross Fawcett rolling around in that category 1 group there. So all 4 categories on your screen. Category 1 at 4 kilometers, category 2 just over 7 kilometers in, over 12 kilometers, nearly 13 kilometers covered for category 3, and 15.5 for the leader of category 4, the only solo leader at the moment, and that is Alex Pledger in the red. He has the lead, and you can see our leading rider at 15.52, the leaders of category 1 chasing hard, but you can see the group about to come back to Pledger, and no surprises to see that Michael Suarez is one of the riders who's done the chasing there and has gone across, but Pledger, Nowak, Decker, Quadrelli all sitting inside the top 10. What do they all have in common?
Sprocket science.
They have indeed.
They are indeed all in the same team, but we're now seeing that group in category 4 all come back together again. This is a large group in category 1, and they are coming up to that blue banner, which is the end of segment number 1. Now, interestingly, the fastest time so far set through segment 1 is still category 4. And that's because they were absolutely on it at the start of this race. It was attack after attack, and Pledger went through, leading them through in 3 minutes and 17 seconds. Category 2 and Category 3 have gone through slower than Category 4, indicating a much steadier start. Now, it's going to be interesting to see what happens with Category 1.
And category 1 are through, and look at that, the red, the blue, the green have been swept aside by the yellow jerseys. Hassan Sultan with the fastest time through there with Simmons. They're the riders on the attack. They've gone through a minute and a half of, sorry, a minute and a half, a second and a half faster. If only it was a minute and a half faster, that would put some serious chase on behind. It's Graves who has the third fastest time, 1.428 of a second down. But interestingly, Belgian Waffles, Van Elst, Osborne, up there with Martins as well from the Waffles squad. They are looking to be attentive and right in that mix. Gelato with Michael Kaminsky up there, but looks to me like nobody's prepared to let anything go very far.
There's a lot of riders still in that mix, Matt, because 32 riders in this leading group in category 1. So 53 riders on the start, down to 32. They have indeed dropped a number, but not a lot really. So a leading group of 32 together at the end of 5 kilometers in this category 1 race.
So just keeping an eye as they come up here. Hassan Sultan sitting in a second wheel here, but it's Henry Ois who's on the move at the moment. He's starting to wind up on the front. Now a move from SS in his traditional blue cap. for the UAE Atlantic comes in and marks that out straight away. Phil Graves on his way across. Graves has seen they're coming into the descent and they are winding this up. You can force a split going off the flat and into the descent and really put people under pressure here. At the moment, Henry MyWhoosh has really thrown the cat amongst the pigeons here. This is very interesting.
Well, it's a great tactic to use the momentum on a downhill to force a split and a break, because people do not expect an attack on the downhill. And as you are transitioning from flat to downhill, the rider who picks up the momentum the quickest, really can pull away.
He can indeed. Now, just watching them come down here, it is really, really interesting. They quickly came back together. They've bunched back up again. You got some serious pace. We're talking 56 kilometers an hour as they came down there. It's just starting to level out a little, and as it does so, the speed will come off this group. Just wondering whether anybody's going to come flying through. I don't think they are. And it's one of the tactics as you come down. It's the reverse as you go over the top. As the front slows off, you come down at pace. You then use the draft and fly through the group. Not going to happen here today in Category 1 on that particular part. Meanwhile, we're in with Carl Taiselis in Category 3. Remember, Taiselis, a winner of rounds of the Sunday Race Club, of finals of the Sunday Race Club, as well, of course, has been so strong in the MyWhoosh Championships. Taiselis at the moment is in this leading group at the moment of Category 3, and it really is a who's who of the riders we would expect. I don't think I've seen anybody particularly missing out of this group. I know Emma's scrolling away through the riders here, trying to catch up with everybody that's in here. Anybody in particular you think missing here, Emma?
Well, I'm taking a look at this because this is now 9 riders, 30 seconds clear of the rest of the group. So this is a really strong group, putting in a really great performance. So Dadson, Santiago, Mancini, Tontorito in this group. So looking at who has missed the split, Calangad is one of the riders that I think has missed the split, who we see ride very strongly in this category. But a number of riders we would expect to be here are here. Just taking a look, Mangat has missed the split, so has Martinez, and Martinez was very strong at the beginning of this race. Gomez Valencia has also missed the split. Now, that is really telling, because Valencia has had a first and 2/3 this month. So if we're talking about unexpected results at the moment, Daniel Gomez Valencia not making the split into the lead group in Category 3.
Very interesting. I would have thought he would be right up there, particularly given the style of the course today, but just caught on the wrong side of the split. It's not all over, but definitely going to take a lot of effort to come back in. As Emma said, and you heard on the rewind, burn all your matches and there's none left in the box, you're in trouble. So we'll see if that's going to happen now. Category number 2. Another move off the front here. This time it's Caligula, Avedo, Hovaila and Spratt, but you can see the group behind being led by Proust on the chase of these 4 riders, and the speed of the chase is splitting the group. This is dangerous. If a split goes with 2/3 in front and a third behind, the rear third are really not going to get across, and it's looking like it's starting to form that way with a good sized group on the front. They go underneath the start of segment number 3. This is 1K segment from 11 to 12K. We're going to see a regroup. Will we see a split form? Going to be very telling.
Well, this is a Cafe de Colombia marking Team Tapas at the moment, because these riders absolutely pushing on and pushing on quickly. So just on a descent on this course at the moment, but the pace is high at 50 kph, and they're continuing to roll through the city at the moment. It is a constantly changing gradient with a lot of rolling terrain on this course. Those 2 main climbs, first climb coming at 16.5 kilometers, 3.3 kilometers in length, but only an average gradient of 3%. The main climb today coming at 34.5k. It is indeed 10.5 kilometers in length. It is the Habil Hafit, and it's a Category 1 climb with the checkered flag at the top.
It is now. Here we go. The riders in Category 1. It's SS marking out Ace at the moment as they come through this segment here. Henry MyWhoosh again pushing on hard at the front here. You can see the numbers up in the red zone, and that bar in red across. SS marking him out, and you can see, this is a role we see SS fall into time and time again, isn't it? And it's a critical role, marking out an attack for your team. How do you select who's going to do that? How does that tend to work?
Well, it's really interesting, isn't it? But SS definitely is the workhorse of the UAE clan team and is completely and utterly supportive of the other riders. So Popovic, X100 and Knudsen is the rest of his team in the UAE clan today. And those three riders we would expect to be right up at the fore in the latter stages of the race today. So SS, the rider, marking out the other teams, closing down the gaps to ensure that the three other riders in his team actually stand the best chance possible. So one of the most crucial roles SS performing.
Yep, and that communication between the teams is critical, as we said. I mentioned it already on the show. Don't forget, of course, if you are on MyWhoosh when you're riding, you can talk to anybody. Just go on to the menu bar across the bottom of the screen when you're riding and select the mic, get it open, chat with the riders to decide where you want to go ahead and how hard you're going. But when you are racing on Sunday Race Club, each team has their own discrete channel that is just for them. The individual riders, well, they get their own channel just for the individuals. The advantage of that, if there's only a few, is that you can band together, but there's a big number, just about 20 riders, I think, by my reckoning, who are individuals. That's a lot of people to coordinate. And you've got to remember, of course, because we are multinational, we span the globe with our riders, you've got to work out which language you're going to speak in as well. Good luck with that one.
Well, we are just through segment number 2. Well, our Category 1 riders are just through segment number 2. And Simmons taking the fastest time there in 1 minute 26 seconds. So a kilometre segment between kilometre 9 and 10. And you can see that big, long line of Category 1 riders right the way down as I'm scrolling on my screen to 29th position.
Wow.
So 29 riders now in that leading group in Category 1. And the notable thing to pick up from this is it's Category 3 then who set the next fastest time and only 2 seconds back. So not much. Category 3 really pushing on in that race and that group forming in Category 3. So the whittling down of Category 3 to that leading 9 riders taking place through that segment. You know, Category 2 then coming through together in a large group, not very much distance between them before Category 4. So Category 1's group now at 29 in number. It is a big group still on the road, but at each segment we've seen through segment number 1 and segment number 2, slowly the group is getting smaller. We're in with Phil Graves at the moment, Nern, legendary for his attacks off the front of the group, but we've not seen an attack from Graves yet. Interesting to see what tactics he and his team are going to play today, because that's the beast mode pudding powered by Rose squad with Graves, Fawcett, Walter and Theme. Strong riders, and I think going to be riding very much with team tactics.
Well, yeah, it's I'm not sure what's happened to Phil Graves. Maybe this, I know in the UK they've got a bit of a heat wave, and maybe being living in the north of England, he's not used to sunshine necessarily as much as some of the other riders. But he certainly seems to have maybe just made him a bit soft. He's not gone for his usual attack. He's not as aggressive. Are we seeing a different Phil Graves?
I'm not quite sure you
race?
could call Phil Graves soft.
I can call Phil Graves soft because he can always beat me in a race, but I'm probably a lot bigger than he is. Well, I know I'm a lot bigger than he is.
I'll tell you who's definitely not soft at the moment, and that's Baltazar, because Baltazar has put an attack in here in Category 2. He's joined by Johan Moreno, and they've got 4 seconds now on the chasing group. The chasing group is being led by Bruce, but it is Moreno and Baltazar, the 2 riders now 4 seconds clear in Category 2.
And Moreno, of course, riding for the Café de Colombia squad. Caligula, Moreno, Carvajal and Oviedo. Café de Colombia squad, regularly the riders who are on the attack now. We're in with Michael Kaminsky here in Category 1. We're coming through the end of our segment at 12 kilometres, segment number 3. And that means that we're now going to have a fastest time. I would hope we've got the fastest time for segment number 3 coming from this group, given that they are meant to be our best riders. But if you look at this, it is a proper mix of riders. We've got Kochikov with the fastest times, then it's Simmons, then it's Tysalius in there, and you can see they are moving at basically the same pace. The Category 3 and Category 1 riders moving about the same speed.
Absolutely, through that segment they were indeed. And that category 3 pack, Matt, let's not forget the instrumental movements to get that group of 9 to go away clear, making them set a good, strong, fast pace. Now, category 2's pace only 3 or 4 seconds back on that. So pretty much we've got most of the riders coming through in a very similar time.
So our groups in categories 4, 3, 2 and 1, the leaders of each category moving at a very similar pace. Now, you can see that category 4 are at the moment on their descent out from the tunnels. They come from the tunnel. They're heading down into the big dip, the depression on the other side, one of the key trigger points. You've got category 3. They are on the climb. They're just about to crest the climb and head down into their descent and start picking up speed. Category 2, well, they've got to drop into the descent before the big climb. Category 1, well, that's something in the distant future for them because they are currently still at 12.9k to go. So category 4 furthest down the road, category 1 with the least distance covered. They're pretty much, give or take,
10 kilometres.
It's about 10k, isn't it? That's still a substantial distance, given that we've already covered 23k for our category 4 riders. You can see them across your screens here. Vidal Mev, category 1, 13.14, 23.48 for Pleasure.
Well, let's not
really
forget.
Moving.
Well, but category 1 did start 20 minutes behind category 4. So 10 kilometres still after 20 minutes of racing for category 1. I think still achievable within the just shy of 22 kilometres left for Pleasure.
But I think that will be accentuated by the final climb, because that is when the category 1 riders really can use the extra power, that better power to weight advantage, their ability to kick out more watts generally.
Absolutely.
So let's see what happens when we get there. We've got a long way to go. The riders still not quite at third race distance in category 1. Category 3, though, they're on to the descent. This is the leading group of riders. So it looks to me like Mancini, Tortoretto, Dadson, Staples, Tisalius in here. Santiago's in this group. It's a really good group of riders. They're clearly ticking along and quite nicely. And I think they're going to see the first of their, or certainly the next of their riders in front will be a category, it is going to be a category 4 rider. So they are absolutely motoring at the moment. And this leading group looks to be working quite well together. There's no coming through like an absolute loon. They're coming through really smoothly.
They are indeed, as in category 3 are working well together. Category 1 are working well together as well. But still a large group on the road. So 29 riders in this leading group in category 1. And all of the protagonists we would expect to see are here. So Martins, Van Elst, Mare, Exeter X100, Bjarhead, Fawcett, Bjorkland, Vijassin. All of these riders still in this group and riding strongly.
They are indeed just coming around this roundabout, taking that exit, just sweeping around. 1 or 2 riders just yo-yoing at the back. No real surprises that one of them is going to be Mr. X100. He's a rider who's either really pushing at the front or he's at the back riding smart, making the most of that draft. So let's see how that's going to progress. And we'll just have to see how it continues. Now, we're just taking a look at this group as they come through. SS leading this out today. We've talked about him doing a lot of work for the riders, but the other riders, but of course we have seen him absolutely flying in his own right. When he's let off the leash, then he is able to go. But given the strength of their climbers, I mean, we've seen people like Nutton. I mean, yes, he's been second regularly in the racing, but it's not just to adjust anybody.
No, it's not. So in qualifier race number 1, he was second to Michael Vink,
who is currently riding in the Giro.
He is indeed. In qualifier race number 2, he was second to his teammate Popovic,
who is an absolute momentum master and experienced rider on the platform.
And last week he was second to Popovic as well.
Which shows that Mr. Popovic is certainly on form. Can Pablo Popovic take this out when he goes over through the top? We will see. Meanwhile, in with category 2, it's Jose Avedo on the front. Avedo riding for the Café de Colombia squad. He's got Bogran behind. I'll tell you something, Café de Colombia are lighting it up yet again. And it may be telling who of their team has not gone on the attack. And it's somebody like Alessio Caligula being saved till later.
Well, he has had a first place this month, you know, so it is indeed a rider on form. And you might be right, Matt. They may well be lighting up the action to give him a break and then launch him in the final stages of the climb.
I like that. Launch him in the final stage, like the last. It's a bit like the old Saturn V rocket that went to the moon, wasn't it? So you basically had the big team booster, the big rocket on the pad. It takes you off from the start line, and then as you go, you jettison riders. And then the very last thing is that the really key moment. You've got that rider coming into the finish, like the command module.
I was thinking a little bit more like a trebuchet or a catapult.
Okay, that's not quite
sort
as
of slingshotting, is it?
Yeah, that's not quite as high tech, is it? Saturn V is the biggest thing that ever went into space versus a trebuchet from the Middle Ages. Yeah, I think I'll take the rocket Saturn V.
You know, there's horses for courses, and you know, if you like your craft, you can make a trebuchet in your own home. You can't make a Saturn V, can you?
There's a challenge for you. Please do send pictures of trebuchets to Biking Emma and pictures of the Saturn V rocket to me at Matt Fixer Pay.
Well, let's take a look at the Category 1 racing, because it's Mr. X100 who's moving on. He's had enough of the talk about firing into space, and he's firing on all cylinders at the moment because Tim Cutler's come up and over the top. So X100 and Cutler are the two riders pushing on. Nair is responding behind, so is Van den Eckhout. Nair is there too, and Quintero. They are starting to chase this group down, but two riders pushing on, so I'm starting to think we're starting to see some action on this group. This is the leading group in Category 1.
And Tim Cutler for the Italian Gelato squad has been a regular attacker, and you've got Cutler, Kaminsky, Zanaska, Nair and Mail in that squad. They've got a strong squad, and whilst none of them maybe is quite of the mark like that we've seen Popovic or Knudsen, because of their strength in depth, they are so close. I mean, really, really close. They'll be in the top 10, pretty much all of them.
Oh, yes.
And that means that as a team, particularly now, it's really key for them to be up there. But look at this action now as we're coming out here and coming up through. You've got Cutler up at the front then, Mr. X100, and Popovic, and Osborne, and Knudsen, and Kaminsky. Really key.
Yeah, and this is the first climb of the day. This is the first main climb of the day. This is 3.3 kilometers in length. It's got an average gradient of 2.8%, but at the moment it's at 5. And that is what is doing the damage here. And this is what is making the riders push and chase.
And they want to break this group up. You won't want to carry people in. If you could lose a teammate, one of the rival team's teammates out the back, that would be a really good result. They've wound it up coming in here. They're going to try and take their star riders into that final climb. And this is somewhere where you can lose or put into trouble other teams. You can put the pressure on them to chase. This is the tunnel climb. It goes up underwater. We'll reach the top of the climb at the summit. We'll go out into the daylight. As we go out into the daylight, the gradient will change. We'll dip down. We'll dive back into the tunnels in the descent. And then very quickly, out the other side, beyond the descent, comes another steep set of kickers up to the crossroads here in Arabia. That is going to be where I think we're going to see this group really put a selection in. Can we see anybody take it down to 5 or 6 riders at that point? Be very interested to see if we take so many riders in through. I can't imagine we would. I certainly wouldn't want to do that if I was racing at the moment.
Well, it's interesting, isn't it? Because we're in with Popovic at the moment, and he's been very, very quiet so far. So we've had nearly 18 kilometres of a very quiet Pablo Popovic today. Now, given that he is on form at the moment, and it is a long climb at the end of today's race, I think he's keeping his powder dry, and he's going to be one to watch in the latter stages.
He's somebody who can win on this course time and time again, and so it has to be considered one of the favourites. But that comes with its own disadvantages as well. Now, the category winner on the left-hand side of your screen, category 2. On the right-hand side of your screen, Avedo, Krasnich, and Howeiler up at the front here, but they've got Caligula coming up. You can see Bogren in here. This group is coming together, and this is the run over the top. They came out of the tunnels. The gradient has gone into a descent, and that means that they're now going to pick up speed. If you are not on this group quick as you come over the top, you will be distanced and not get back on. You can see 1 or 2 riders in trouble off the back of this group, and they have to push. If the leading group can get and break clear, they could leave these 2 riders behind, and that is going to make a difference. Remember, every time you distance somebody, every time they have to work to come back on again, you're really putting the pressure on them. They're under psychological pressure as well.
And that's it, isn't it? With this team competition, it's the time of the first 3 riders of your team over the line that counts. And this is normally down to seconds. Seconds count in the team competition.
They do. So if you can push somebody out the back early, you're more likely to put a bigger time gap in. If you wait until the very end, you're going to put in less of a time gap. So it is incumbent on the teams, if they want to seal that competition, lose people and lose them early. This is the climb, if you remember your course profile. Halfway along, we had the rise up to the peak, the second highest point on the course. That is where our riders are going up in Category 1 and where they're descending from in Category 2.
Yeah, so our group on the right-hand side of the road are splitting. That Category 2 pack is pushing on this descent, and they are indeed still stretched across the road. Category 1 on the left-hand side of your screen still on the climb at the moment, and they are climbing pretty much together at the moment. So this, let's remember, is a group of 29 riders in the lead of this Category 1 race, and we're seeing a little bit of a push now come for the front, but nothing really that the rest of the squads in this group can cope with. Now this is Fawcett at the moment, and we know Fawcett has one of the best sprints in this group. You know, we saw that in the MyWhoosh Championships when he took that sprint competition in the Category 1 race. He's pushing on at the moment at 9 watts per kilo. Now, Fawcett riding for Beast Mode powered by Rose. Now, is this a concerted effort by that team to push on and break this group?
Well, Fawcett's got good power. He's got great power. In fact, remember, he took those sprints solo, many of them. He wasn't racing as part of the group. He was having to put the effort in on his own. He's done that here, and he's forced a gap, and he's opened it up. Let's see if that's going to continue. Meanwhile, our earliest super speedy starter, and that is Ramos, just getting caught on the way back. I absolutely love the new emotions that come in and through off the avatars, everything from the Usain Bolt to the somebody else take a turn 1, which would be high on my list of buttons to press as he comes through. But now he's jumping in with this group of Category 3 riders, and as they go onto this descent, he's going to try and stay in their draft. He is chasing, in fact all of Category 4 are chasing Alex Pledger, because he's got the whole race behind him. He's the first rider on the road. Pledger on the right-hand side of your screens at 29 kilometers covered. So going on a good ride today. It is Pledger who has that race lead.
Yeah, absolutely. So Pledger continuing to take the lead of this race. He's looking like he's got a good lead at the moment on that Category 3 chasing group. As the lead in our Category 1 group, it is SS on the front with Osborne, Walter and X100, Vanden Eckhout and Bjorklund and Thiem are all there as well. They are heading into the tunnels under the sea at the moment. They are on this descent, and it is still a good, strong group.
So just taking a look at segment number 4, quick reminder, segment number 4, 17 to 20 kilometers. So essentially the climb. And Fawcett going through with the fastest time. You ready for this? 8 seconds quicker than anybody else. So that is just due to the fact that Fawcett started at the back and that went up and off the front. Now Simmons, Quintero, Bjarhead, Sultan, SS Ice, Van Elster, Mayer, Walter Justin, and now the riders following. A real mix of teams in there, indicating that this group is still not decided, but it's Fawcett who has the gap, and he's trying to force this clear. Now, he's almost doing a Phil
Well, I'll
Grace
tell you something,
here.
they're not chasing. They're not chasing at all. So Popovic on the front of the group at 3, Sultan at 2.9, Knudsen at 2.9. These riders are not chasing. Phil Graves, obviously a teammate of Fawcett, 0.7 watts per kilo.
That's the kind of teammate you need.
That's the
Somebody
kind
who's
of
going to go
teammate
up the front and then put the shutters down and slow everybody else off.
But the interesting thing to note now, Matt, is that this group now in this lead of this Category 1 race, we've got one rider off the front, and that is Fawcett. And then we've got 23 riders chasing. So very slowly this pack is getting smaller, but it is not getting smaller by a lot.
It's not, although they do have some way to go. Not quite at half race distance yet, at 21.7k for the chasing pack. I think we find Ross Fawcett must be pretty close to that half race distance at the moment. He's got the gap, he's not out of sight yet. The riders can just about make out the diminutive figure of Fawcett on the front. But it's Fawcett who's going to actually get some draft assistance here. He's just coming up and passing a rider, so he'll get a little bit of help there as he drops behind them. A bit like you see riders chasing back on after a puncture on a tour or similar. They're going to hug the back of a car as long as possible, take every possible chance of assistance, and that's what they're doing. And look at this.
Well, take a look. Who is it? Who's doing the chasing?
Yeah, it's Pablo Popovic now. Very interesting to see. So he's come out of hiding. So it looks like it's going to actually have to burn a match or two. He's having to go on to the front. SS is with him though, and SS quickly goes over the top in that blue cap. And now you start to see a response coming. They've given Fawcett, I think, all the rope they're prepared to give him. They're now going to start to haul him back in again with it, slowly but surely.
Yeah, so the chase now on to Fawcett, and the group are now pushing behind. It's being led by the UAE clan team, so Popovic and SS were the two riders who instigated that chase. It's now being taken up by others, but how concerted an effort this is at the moment, I'm not sure. So Fawcett 4.7, 4.9 watts per kilo. SS now coming back to the front, but Osborne comes back up as well and then drops the pace, and this is yo-yoing a bit behind. I'm not sure this is absolutely the strong effort to bring Fawcett back.
No, well, they can't go too hard too soon, can they? If they go too hard too soon, then they're going to have expended too much energy. It then means if they pull him back early, what they're doing is that they then give the opportunity for somebody else to attack.
Well, they're also
at
on
the
descent.
moment. Yeah, at the moment, somebody else is on the front. They know they can pull him back. They're fairly comfortable with that because they've just come down that long descent. They've not quite got him back. They've just used the draft advantage of that bigger group to pull him a little bit closer. But once they come back, if they get him back, that's when you're going to see a counter attack. And that's when, if I was a teammate of Fawcett, I'd be looking to get ready to go, because if they do pull Fawcett back, it's time to go, right, mate, you take a bit of a rest. My turn. Let's go.
Well, that'll be quite interesting to watch, wouldn't it? Because Fawcett is still 3 seconds clear. SS is now doing the pulling, and he really is pulling as they come along this flat section before the climb. It's going to be quite interesting because I think Fawcett is going to come back in on this climb. The question is, will anybody counterattack over the top of Fawcett? Because this is now a steep section of road.
It is going to roll round and go up onto it. You can see the ramp lining up in front of the riders. They're closing in on the wheel of Fawcett, who hits that slope first. Now the gradient ramps up. This is where things get very tasty. This is the ascent out from the depression post, tunnels up and down. And at the moment, Fawcett already having to go into the red just to hold on as they come sweeping up alongside. SS the first man to pull him back. Watch out for counterattacks. Watch out for riders pushing on. The pace is hot at the moment. I think it's going to be very hard for him to go clear. But the moment it eases off, I expect to see somebody test the water and have a go.
Yeah, absolutely. So it is SS, Knudsen, Osborne, Cutler, Van Elst, Martins up here as well. And there's going to be a lot of competition here, not just in the team competition today, but in the overall individual too, because there's a number of riders in here who are going to want that first step on the podium. So Walter and Kaminsky, Martins and Thiem, Cutler is up here as well. So is Knudsen. Michael Knudsen is leading them out here. Phil Graves is in too. So Graves covering that move from Knudsen. Osborne and Cutler, Thiem and Martins, Kaminsky and Bjorklund, all pushing on this climb.
Really strong racing out here at the moment on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club Finals. It is the end of May. Don't forget, of course, the cycle will stop, pardon the pun, at the beginning of the month. We have our qualifiers. The last Sunday of the month is the finals, and this the final for May.
Yeah, and if you are watching the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club today and you are enjoying the action, you want to have a go, don't forget you can head over to mywhoosh.com. You can download the app, you can ride the app for free. There's training plans, there's races, there's everything you could wish for on there, and the worlds just keep coming. So head over to mywhoosh.com, download the app, have a ride, head over to the events page, click on the Sunday Race Club, and you will find all the information you need there to join us. Do so, because we love to see you on the start line, and it's great to put words to the action.
It is indeed. And don't forget, of course, you can join me at Matt Fixpain and at Biking Emma on a multitude of different events. We're going to be covering lots of different races, including the UCI World Championships, many of the UCI World Cups, from BMX to XCE on the way through. Always great to work with the world's governing body. And of course, we'll be bringing you all of the action on the Sunday Race Club all the way through the year, and really looking forward to seeing how our riders progress, how they change. We've talked about how riders move up through the categories and improve, and we see that time and time again. And how you can help us do that, well, make sure you tag us into your post. We'll give you a follow. Please to give us a follow back. It's always good for us and good for you, so please do. It is at Matt Fixpain, it's at Biking Emma, and of course at Full Speed Events. If you do see us at a bike event, give us a wave, say hi, grab a picture. It's always good to meet people out in the flesh rather than just as an avatar, whether that's when we're out. So it was a pleasure to meet a number of our riders out in the UAE when I was out covering the trials and BMX World Championships at the end of last year. Whether you're going to be up in Glasgow for this year's World Championships, or whether it's just down at a local race or a local time trial, you never know. Phil Graves might say hello one time when he's racing on one of my old courses out there around York. But wherever you are, please do say hi or send a picture, and make sure you tag us in as well at Full Speed Events, at Biking Emma, and at Matt Fixpain.
Well, this Category 1 race, it is indeed Phil Graves kicking on at the front. We said, would one of the other teammates pick up the mantle? And he has indeed. So Graves picking up the pace, Knudsen coming through too, but this group all together at the moment. So Category 1, we've seen another couple of riders just dip off the back here, but this Category 1 pack still a large group. So X100 covering the front, Graves is there as well, SS is there too, as this pack swoop around this left-hand corner. It is indeed X100 just picking up the pace there, and he's picking up the pace potentially to offset anybody going over the top and launching another attack, because he wants to keep this group together for a little bit longer. So X100 really kicking now. They're coming through the end of segment number 5. Segment number 5 today, another 1 kilometer segment on this course. Now, it's going to be interesting to see who comes through with the fastest time here, but I'm thinking, and I'm looking here and thinking that has got to be Category 1, and it is indeed. So X100 setting the fastest time through that segment, 1 minute 32. Quintero in 2, Van Elst in 3, Knudsen in 4, Bjorklund in 5, Cutler in 6, Kaminski 7 there, 8th, Palpovic in 9th, and Fawcett still with that group in 10th. Now, that Category 1 pack getting smaller and smaller with each attack that comes, now down to 19 riders. So 4 more riders in trouble there, but 19 riders now in that front group in Category 1. So our Category 1 pack now been racing for 42 minutes. They are all together, as in 19 riders all together in a leading bunch. On the other side of your screen, this is our group of riders who have been out the longest. So Category 4 was the first start today. They started 20 minutes before Category 1. 1 hour and 2 minutes of racing so far under their wheels. And we have a leading group here as well. So this leading group looking like we've got 9 riders still in this group. Or is it 8? She says, just trying to do a very quick head count. I think we have indeed 8 riders in this group, and Decker is the rider who has been dropped off the back now, 40 seconds back. So 8 riders clear in Category 4 as they come into what is the bottom of the climb, and you can see them just coming round the corner with the walls either side. The gradient goes up in front of them and the wheels get steeper as we're just seeing a stretch now on that group. So Category 4 now on to the final climb of the day. They are on to the Habel Hafit. They've got 10.5 kilometers of climbing ahead of them.
And can they hold off the riders behind? Let's see how they do as we go through. Meanwhile, Category 1. I'll tell you something, this is it's a bit like playing poker down there, isn't it? They are looking at each other. We see a few people throwing a hand or two down, trying to provoke a response. The distance really interesting though between Category 1 and 2, really starting to come down. I think the moment we hit the climb, We can see Category 1 really racing up past Category 2 on here. But now I would put an ice cream or two on the fact that the riders in Category 1 will go past the rest of that race field on the way up to the summit. So the riders on here making the way up there at 28.9k on the ascent. We're just starting to see a little bit of a fracture. So let's take a look at that, where that is on our course at the moment. You can see that they're on that little bit of a rise as you come out on the way towards, you can see the second of our green riders up on the course. So at the moment they're making the way in through there, and on those rises and those bumps before, it then levels out. So that's where a group can reinforce that gap they're opening. But when we look at that final climb, the predominant thing here is, although the gradients rise and fall, the steep section at the very start and at the very end. So you can just see after that 34.5k marker, it steepens, it levels and it steepens. Those two steps at the start, almost certain to break the riders. They're out on the open. Now, if you've seen any of the UAE Tour, you will know that this is really, really very much like real life. You come in to the slope and you have a steep section, it levels and it steepens again. Then you've got a leveling for a while with a few kicks on the way up into the summit, and then the very top is steep again. It's so representative of real life. If you're looking at, please do make sure you go out and ride the climbs in the UAE. They should be on everybody's bucket list because they are right up there. Not only that, but you've got some great infrastructure out there to ride on as well, and that goes right the way out from Wolfie's, the bike shop out on the coast, where we've seen rounds of the XCE, right the way through to the mountains inland up above Al Ain and up over the top of the UNESCO World Heritage Site. The advantage, of course, of being on MyWhoosh, you don't get the scorching 41 degrees if you've got a bit of aircon on the go, so you're going to be a little bit cooler, hopefully, where you are. But the action hotting up as we now see Category 3 onto the same slopes. And you can see here that we're coming into these steep sections here. You've got a kick, you've got a level, you've got another kick again, and that's coming up in front of the riders. This group pushing on at the moment. Emma, this is a select group of riders, isn't it?
It is indeed. 10 riders at the moment leading this Category 3 race onto this climb. I can't imagine we're going to have 10 riders sprinting for the finish line in 10 kilometres time, but there are some really strong riders in this group, and at the moment they are all together.
They are indeed. They're just going to hit those steeper slopes. Meanwhile, Category 1 starting to sweep riders up. Next rider they're going to see, I think, is going to be pulled back, will be one of our Category 3 riders. But this is a big group of riders, and this is where anybody who sweats up will want to try and jump in. Not very easy to do, particularly if you're being passed by the cream of the crop and you're in one of our lower categories, because there are big differences between being a Category 3 or 4 and a Category 1. But don't worry, lots of riding. Don't forget, lots of training plans to help you improve when you need to improve your outright power or your turbo training. You know, whether you want to improve your 20-minute power. Lots of programs on MyWhoosh to help with that. Now, the riders in Category 1 coming sweeping through, predominantly on there. Very interesting to see Jassin, Van den Eekhout, Martins and Van Elst on the way through.
Yeah, absolutely. So Knudsen, Vujassin, SS, Neer, Van den Eekhout, Martins, Van Elst, Graves, Kaminsky and Thiem rounding out the top 10. And that group of 19 riders still all together in that leading pack. Interestingly, the second fastest group through that segment were Category 4.
Now, just seeing Mr. X100 Post going through the segment, taking advantage of us looking at the screens to launch an attack. Well, maybe people weren't watching, they're focusing on those results. He's on the attack. He's gone for it off our screens, a tactic that was employed by Ross Fawcett out of sight. He was regularly attacking the sprints in the MyWhoosh Championships. Also, of course, Mr. X100, some of our regulars on the platform. I happen to know that Ross Fawcett, he's definitely not got 41 degrees. He's actually in Ireland at the moment, although it is sunny, which is less usual in the Emerald Isle, so called because it is so green from all of the rain. So Ross over in Ireland at the moment. Going to have Ross watching live. Don't forget, of course, you can get in touch, send us a message, tell us where you're riding at the moment. Are you lucky enough to be in 41 degrees?
Well, you got a steady pace at the moment in some of these packs to message, but no one's going to be messaging later on the slopes of the Hebbler Feet, because Van Elf's heart rate will not be 140 beats per minute as we move into the latter stages of this race. So the Category 1 pack picking up some Category 2 riders. I've seen Bruce in there at the moment, and the pace one that those Category 2 riders can stay with. So Cardenas and Cadiz and Bruce all in with this Category 1 pack, and they're getting a toe back to the leaders in the Category 2 race because they are not too far up the road. Around 800 meters separating the leaders in Category 1 with the leaders in Category 2. Now, are we going to see that light the fire beneath this Category 2 pack? Because they are riding steady at the moment as well. Kranich's heart rate 142 at the moment, telling me that this is still a steady pace for Category 2 as well.
But we still see them pick up plenty of Category 2 riders, Emma, and those riders are then able to get a lift. Meanwhile, Mr. X100 continuing to push here. He's got that gap, and behind, it's not really a response that's come straight away, has it? I mean, we're now starting to see Tim Cutler try and come across because they know they can't let a rider like Mr. X100, who could time trial his way up that climb, sort of time climb that he likes, you can't let him go, and Cutler now looking to bridge across, and then it's Jason Osborne behind.
Well, and I think this is starting to be instrumental here because you're right, X100 is the master of the time trial and steady pace, but riders know he is dangerous. Cutler has had a 3rd and a 5th this month, so Cutler is on form. He will be looking to show his mark today. So Cutler coming across to X100, Osborne coming across too. Now, we saw Osborne early in the month. We didn't see him last week. Out and about racing in real life on the road. So Osborne, Knudsen, Cutler, Popovich, X100, Vujasin, all of these riders really strong at the moment. Norin and Zanaska put in a astounding race in last week too. So a lot of riders on form at the moment.
Indeed, and it's all going to come down to this final climb. It's going to come down to who can do what as they ascend. Remember, that climb kicks in from the 34.5 kilometer marker. At that point, we're into our climb right the way through to the finish at 45 kilometers, and this is still a big pack. You can just see the Category 2 riders just fighting to try and hold on as long as they can. At the back of this, we're in with Cardenas at the moment. Stefan Bruce also just about hanging in with this group, and if you can catch a lift with this express train, it's going to rocket you up the course, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. And the pace it's moving at the moment is absolutely bob on for these Category 2 riders to hang on to the back of, because they can get a toe at this pace very comfortably. I am really looking forward to the last 10k of this Category 1 race because the fire is going to be lit. But we're seeing a little interestingly enough, it is X100 again. He's not happy with this pace at the moment. So X100 is the rider pushing on. Graves is the rider in 2, encouraging him to continue to push. So X100 in 1, Graves in 2, Osborne marking the move as well as Vujasin and Cutler. So interesting to see the mix of teams here marking this move from the UAE clan.
And I think what we're going to see is we're going to see Miss 600 try and take some of the sting out of the climber's legs for the first steep steps, because we know if the rider's going to 10, 11, 12%, the gradient goes to that, the rider's going to the similar number of watts per kilo, that's where he's going to struggle. So by taking some sting out, going into the climb hot, he can take some of that pressure off. Meanwhile, Category 2,
they're already there.
They are there, and they are in the midst of that first steep ascent, and they are closing in on riders fast.
They are indeed, but the pack is still together. There is no hot pace on the front of this group at the moment. They are all riding much for muchness all together. So this group of Category 2 riders, it's a large group of Category 2 riders all still together on the foothills of this climb. You know, the pace is strong, but everybody can respond to this. And Category 2 is one of our most competitive race fields in the men's. 14 riders have finished in the top 5 this month in Category 2. The strength and depth in Category 2 is phenomenal.
So basically, it's been only one person who's been in the top 5 twice.
I can't tell you that exactly right now, but I can
I'll
tell
bet you.
I bet you may well be right.
14 out of 15
well,
places.
No. You may well indeed be right. And
I'm taking it as a win today, ladies and gentlemen.
The question is, can you guess which rider it is? Because I've just pulled the correct page of notes out in front of me, and I can tell you which rider that is. Can you guess?
In category 2, Tice Alias.
No, Sprat.
Sprat. Oh, maybe that puts
1
him as a
second
favourite.
and 1/3.
And there we go. We will see now. Here comes category 1. Martin Martins winding it up. We've hit the climb. Martins is opening this up. We've seen him do this before. He's got the power. He likes to attack the climb early. He's on the move, and the response is coming. You can see behind, they are still a pack. They are not completely lined out at this stage. And ominously, Jason Osborne is right on his heels now. When Osborne returned after a long stretch of racing out on the classics, he wasn't maybe on the form that we thought he would be, and he paid the price. He wasn't right up in the mix. Meanwhile, category 2, Novedo is clearly on form because he has got a gap of 8, if not 9 seconds to Baltazar, Howeiler, Espina, Kranich in there. It is a really big group behind Novedo, taking advantage of that little section to try and break clear. That's where these riders are now. This is the first of the slight descents, and look at the speed with nearly 50k an hour on that downhill. He sort of pulled the groups back together again. We're in with Michael Knudsen, the man who was the first rider to do a Vink to Vink. Will he now be able to do a Knudsen on the slopes and actually get clear of second place?
This is a world-class field we are watching at the moment, and they are absolutely hammering the early stages of this climb. Knudsen, Thiem, Van den Eck out there, Fawcett, Walter Graves, they are all in here, continuing to push on. Bjorkland is in here too. So indeed is Popovic and X100. They are continuing to move up these climbs. The gradient gets steeper and steeper. It is going skywards at the moment. It is just shy of 11% as this pack have now split in 2, but it's a big group up front.
It is. We're just seeing 1s and 2s going off the back here. We're just keeping an eye on where Knudsen is. He's still holding that group, and you can't go too early on here because it's a long climb. Remember, we still have 9.2k to the summit, to our race finish here. That is a long distance. There are riders from all categories scattered all over the slopes. You can see the red, blue, green and yellow dots top right hand corner of your screen. That indicates our riders in 4, 3, 2 and category 1. But these are the fastest riders on the road. They are the category 1. We're in with the line of Vajacin, another of those really strong riders. We've seen him racing in the World Championships. We've seen him racing on the MyWhoosh Championships. I'll tell you something. He's a rider who you wouldn't bet against taking a really big win one of these days. Just getting that timing right. Will today be the day as his form started to come good at the right time, but he's up against some real class riders here who are potentially able to actually take him on and beat him. We'll see if that's going to be the case. We're just watching Vujacin at the moment. He's answering the moves in the middle of the group. It looks like a little bit of a gap opening up on the front once again, and I think that is going to be Tim Cutler, who's just starting to stretch out the group. Knudsen is in pursuit in second place, so it's Cutler in 1, Knudsen in 2. Surprise. Then it's Vajacin, then it's Osborne, then it's Popovic, then it's Martins. But can Knudsen get across? I don't think he wants to let anybody go at this stage.
There's still 15 riders in this leading pack of this category 1 group on your screen. They are starting to spread down the road, but 32 became 29, 29 became 24, 24 to 23 to 19 to 15. We are dropping riders on the back of the group, but we are not seeing an attack go clear off the front yet.
I like the word yet, because that's what's going to happen. We are bound to see. Just watching Johan Moreno, one of our regular aggressive riders in category 2. He's up at the front, and this is passing the lead of category 2. So category 1 catching the leaders of category 2. Moreno in here, Howeiler in here, Castro, Espina, all in this group. I've seen Baltazar in the mix as well. So really are pushing on. Meanwhile, Tim Cutler back on the front once again, looking to stretch this out. He's got Osborne beside him. So Cutler's the rider looking over his shoulder. It's going to be Jason Osborne with the black helmet, big black shades on, white helmet, black shades, just trying to keep that closed down. But you can see they are rotating through, and that means that this group are all climbing at a very similar pace. Really interesting to see just who's got this in their legs at the moment. We're now at 36.9 kilometers, so we're approaching 37 of 45 kilometers for the Category 1 men on the left of your screen. The fastest riders on the road, well, it's Enrico Quadrelli at the moment. He's the furthest up the road at 38.84. He is right up there with Suarez. No surprises there, these two are battling it out. Maillard not far off the mark, so is Elos as well. And you can just see nicely up in the mix. We've also got Acevedo, Andres Acevedo, also sitting snug in that group of 4. Good to see that Pleasure's not all that far down. Zanaska, Adriana Zanaska doing a good ride. Maillard is a little further back, but 4 riders in the mix at the front of the race, well on the way up these slopes. Now, back with Category 1, Tim Cutler, yet again, irrepressibly continuing to push. He's the rider with the red forks and grey frame, the rider on the more traditional Carnago colours of the blue and orange there. That is Jason Osborne, currently just being pushed back a little bit in this group. Further down the mountain, SS and Mr. X100, after having worked for their teammates, are now having to grit their teeth and ride up here and keep the pace as high as they can. They won't want to lose too much ground. They will want that team prize. Category 1 team prize today, 50,000 AED. 50,000 AED. Big prize. Big kudos.
Big competition.
That's the one. Let's see which of our big riders can take it. We're on the slopes. Cutler's right in the mix. This has got to be a very fast finish now, I think, to shed these riders, because they're showing that they have the pace, they have the skills. Left hand side of your screen, the leaders in Category 1, and we've seen a regrouping on the right hand side of your screen. Mr. X100, SS, Bart van den Eyck out in here, and Vidal Mayer, all very close together. Christoph Thiem and Zach Nera not all that far away either here. So this team competition, remember, top 5 teams have got the opportunity to take away prizes today, as well as the bragging rights. They are right up in the mix. You've got Moises Baltazar and Johan Moreno. They're actually just being passed here on the way through. I think they're the leaders in Category 2. And if that is the case, Moreno and Baltazar, who have been aggressive all race long, are continuing to push at the front of the race.
Yeah, absolutely. And they're continuing to fight for that podium in their own category. And they are pulling and pushing and fighting each other on the way up this mountain. Moreno and Baltazar, the 2 riders in this Category 2 race, they've got over 5 kilometers to fight this battle out. And it's Moreno who is gaining time on Baltazar, but Baltazar's got these Category 1 riders around him. That is company, that is motivation, and that will only help him.
Yeah, you could just see, couldn't you? Moreno went with the leaders as they with that group as they came past. He tried to jump in with them. He stayed with them. He used them for motivation as long as he could. Then the group behind him picked up Baltazar. Baltazar then jumped in with them. It pulled the gap back a little bit, but I think they're starting to be stretched. And we've just seen the leaders on the left of our screen go through the polka dot banner. The riders we've been focusing on around Moreno and Baltazar, they're coming into that same banner, so the gap is not huge at the moment. The front of the race, though, 6 riders. 6 riders together. That is some group.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's absolute class watching these riders going up this mountain at the moment. So 6 riders in the leading group of Category 1 as we continue to push us a little bit of a stretch on the front, and that indeed is being pushed again. So Cutler, Osborne, Knudsen, Van Elst, Popovic, Martins, the screen is flashing in front of us, but these riders, it's Martins on the front, Cutler in 2, Knudsen in 3, Popovic in 4, Osborne in 5, Van Elst in 6. Absolutely strong field, class riders, and this is going to be a superb race to the checkered flag.
It is. Now we're going to try and give you some riders to identify how you can tell the difference in these leading 6 riders in Category 1. Van Elst has a yellow headband, a yellow bandana on. He is the rider who is with that yellow bandana. The rider with no hair, well, that is Michael Knudsen, sporting a similar look to it. So you can see him just moving towards the back. Pablo Popovic has got his trademark black helmet on. He's just on the side there with the blue gloves. Tim Cutler's the rider in the center here. He's the rider with the white helmet on. You can see he's also on the bike with the red forks on there. Jason Osborne has got the orange, blue and yellow forks. He is also wearing a white helmet with black dark glasses on as well. So if you can follow all that lot as we try to on the way up the climb, then good luck. It's always an entertaining moment when our riders come in as a group and trying to spot who's who. Fortunately, our riders personalising their avatars, which does make it a little bit easier for us and for you at home as well. But the leader at the moment, well, no mistaking, Martin Martins. He's the rider on the front. He's got another gap. I mean, he was the first to attack as it came in to that climb in a meaningful way. He's got the gap. Van Elst is going after him in that yellow bandana. Then it's going to be Osborne. Jason Osborne immediately behind him. Van Elsto goes up onto the wheel of Martins, and they are putting the pressure down, and you can see what damage it's done. This is the group behind. So you've got Vujasin about 5 seconds up the road from Mr. X100. Then you've got SS just in front with that blue cap on. Mr. X100 with the red bandana, and behind them plenty of riders being distanced as well. You've got Thiem, then Nair, then Kaminsky, Van den Eekhout, then Mail. Those are the riders behind. SS at Vujasin and Mr. X100 are the three riders on your screen. Vujasin solo, Mr. X100 and SS are together. They are the riders that are left chasing at the moment. Now, whilst they may be out of the running for the top 5 positions, they are right in the thick of battle for the team competition. Emma, have you got any updates on which of our teams are still in the running?
Well, Belgian Waffles are the team to beat at the moment because Martins, Osborne and Van Elst are all still in that front group, and that is 3 riders from the Belgian Waffle teams. Vujasin is their 4th counter today, and he's the rider we can see with SS and X100. Popovic and Knudsen from the UAE clan team are up in the group number 1, and we are watching SS and X100, their 2 other teammates in this group 2 with Vujasin. So the UAE clan team versus the Belgian Waffles is absolutely going to be eyeballs out at the moment. You know, Cutler from Italian Gelato is still in the mix. So it is really still going to come down to what time you cross that finish line.
So every second is going to count for our riders. There's no easing off and just riding for position. They are going to need to make sure that they use every pedal stroke to get the best time that they can. Category 1 leads 39.53, and you can see Quadrelli at the moment with Acevedo, with Suarez, with Elos. They are the leaders in Category 4, but they are now about 500 meters ahead of the Category 1 leaders who are coming up behind. Category 3 leaders, Kochetkov and Co are just behind them, sandwiched in between those 2 groups. But I'll tell you something, Oleg Kochetkov has got a good ride at the moment under his wheels. He's ahead of Santiago, who has company behind, but you can see them coming after him on the right of your screen. You can see the pack are coming. So Daniel Valencia in there, Santiago in there, Santiago Marin coming through. Tortoretto's not out of this. There is a massive group of Category 3 riders behind. We thought Category 1 was well and truly stacked. Category 3 at the moment, they're having a real battle all the way up the slopes here. They're into their last 5K, and it is by no means decided.
Yeah, absolutely. It is no means decided in Category 3 at the moment. Look at that. What is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 riders within 10 seconds of each other, and another rider. Well, in fact, no, it's not. It's 6 riders within 10 seconds of each other. So this is absolutely still one that has not been sorted.
Yep, plenty of riders, not as many prices as there are riders in that group, that's for sure. Meanwhile, back with Category 1, and this is all about that team competition. We said SS and Mr. X100 would be able to time trial their way up here. They have done, and in doing so, they've gone past Vujasin, who is the 4th counter for the Belgian Waffle squad. So UAE clan team are on the way up. Meanwhile, there is a real fight at the front as well, because you can see that that group is still together. Van Elst, Cutler, Osborne, Knudsen, Popovich, all still in the mix. Martin Martins, though, is the rider who is continuing to try and do the damage. He's trying to pull clear. Meanwhile, the group are being closed down. SS and Mr. X100 at the moment are making steady ground up here, and they are about to come onto the next group of Category 3 riders as well. This is coming all together.
It is indeed, and I'm not sure the leading group will let it all come together, but SS and X100 are definitely going to continue to try. They are holding a steady pace, and we've seen them do this time and time again. They pick the pace they know they can hold, and they ride it regardless of what is going on around them, and more often than not, it brings them back to the leading group, who are pushing on, sitting up, pushing on, sitting up, and that allows them to close the gap.
It does indeed. You can see the distance coming down the roads. Be able to see this on their screens. You can see what you're seeing. These fantastic graphics here in Arabia. And final quick reminder before we go in towards the finale of this race. Don't forget to make sure you jump on board. Stay with us right to the end of the show. Go beyond the credits, because we've got a little bit of a teaser for you for what is coming up in terms of our new routes. So please do stay with us at the end of the show. Don't just run off and get your recovery drink. Get somebody to go for it and bring it back to you if you're on the Turbo watching live, and get a little bit of a quick heads up on what is coming your way next and what else we're bringing to the world of MyWhoosh. So a quick teaser for you there. Remember, of course, all that after our action. And at the moment, SS and Mr. X100 on the climb. They're together. They are chasing that lead group. The gap is starting to open now. I don't think that's going to come back, Emma.
Well, the gap is starting to open because the push is coming from the group ahead. The group want to stay together throughout the catch, and they've just gone past Category 3 and Category 4 riders. And what none of these 6 leading riders want to do is lose this group. So the push has come and the pace has picked up here, and that is what has distanced SS and X100. The gap was around 11 seconds. It's now over 20, and it's the push from the front. SS and X100 have not changed their pace. So whilst they continue to time trial up this mountain, the lead group is on the left-hand side of your screen. So Van Elst, Popovich, Cutler, Knudsen, Martins, all in this group, really pushing on and pushing strongly, but all riding together at the moment. They're at 41.3 kilometers into a 45-kilometer race. There is still some way to go, and it's Martin Martins coming back to the fore. He's coming back to the front and pushing on. Popovich, Van Elst, Cutler, Osborne, and Knudsen are the riders chasing. They are all still staying together. Now, it is around 100 meters behind, and that is X100. I think he's dropped SS now, and I think X100 is the rider now trying to close the gap on his own.
Well, I'll tell you something, it's really interesting if he gets across. Martin Martins is putting the pressure on. Knudsen and Popovich are only going to mark the moves.
Yeah.
They're not going to try and rip away from this group. You can see Knudsen out the saddle, goes onto the back wheel of Martins. He's not going to let any time gaps open up. But equally, he's not going to assist here because he knows that he's got his third and fourth counters in the team coming up behind. This is a real balancing act now for Popovich and Knudsen. They have to do what they can to allow their teammates to come back into the group, even though that will bring it up to a bigger group. That is going to be really tricky.
Well, I think it's going to be really interesting in that Category 1 race because team-wise, you know, Belgian Waffles are out to beat the UAE clan team and not come second to them today. Now, the question is Cutler from Italian Gelato going to be the one to benefit? Because all he's got to do is follow the wheels.
Yep, he's the rider who can take advantage of everybody else, or will he get worked over because he is the solo rider and he has to cover everything? We will see. Now, just taking a look, these are our leaders in category number 3. So you can see we've got Daniel Valencia in here, Felipe in, it's like Santiago is in here, Santiago Marin. So our category 3 group looking good at the moment, but being caught now by category 1 as they come past. Is anybody going to be able to jump on that train?
Look at the push.
Big squeeze here as they come up through. And now Knudsen decides that it's time to go. He's probably had the word from the team behind. Go solo if you can. Don't take anyone with you from that team. And now Nussen looking to open up a gap, but look who's going after him now. Jason Osborne is responding, but who's on Osborne's wheel? Popovic. And Popovic knows, do you know what? Osborne, you're looking strong, but I can drop you on here. He's trying to drop Osborne. He's opening a little bit of a gap. We could find 3 riders on the front, but look at the pair behind. This is going to shortly come back together again, but it won't be 6 riders. I think this is going to be 5.
Well, it may well be 5 if they come back together again, but that's a big if at the moment. So we've got Knudsen in 1, Popovic in 2, Van Elst in 3, Osborne in 4, Martins in 5. It's Cutler who's not with us at the moment. He was indeed the rider for the team who was on his own. He was Italian Gelato.
Well, this is going to be really interesting. So Nussen Popovic for the UAE clan team on the front. They have to open up as much time as they can on Van Elst, Osborne and Martins, who are the team together. They are the Waffles team. So this is about opening a gap, not letting anybody go with them and getting as much time as they can. Meanwhile, Mr. X100 has to absolutely bury himself now because it's going to be critical what time he pulls out. He's just about to get onto Cutler's wheel, and if he can get back, it is going to be wide open in this team competition.
Well, it is, but there's a very, very fine line between burying yourself enough and riding close to that red line to get to the top of this mountain. The last thing you want to do is burn those matches and go over that red line, because then you're going to blow and you are going to lose minutes, and you can lose minutes in 2 kilometers, and he's got more than 2K still to go.
And if you said to Mr. X100, what would you rather have, a 5th place or your team taking the win? I know for a fact he's going to say, yeah, I want my team to take a win. You don't give yourself week after week to it without having that. And look at this, he's on his way up there. He said this was a clan that would suit him if he could time travel, but remember there is a kicker at the end. SS is not that far behind. He's closing in on the leaders in category 4 and category 3, and in the midst of that action we went past the leaders. That is Enrico Quadrali and Mako Suarez of category 4. Our leaders then a little bit further just in front of them, and that is Santiago in category 3. So David Santiago, but he has company as well. This is going to be very, very close.
Absolutely, and it just continues to give. It is a climb that keeps on giving as we are watching these 3 riders side by side. Knudsen, Van Elst and Popovic. Martins is 6 seconds back. He's with his teammate Osborne. Mr. X100 1 second back. Cutler 2 seconds back. There is still nothing in this.
And SS is also coming. If they pause, if they take breath, SS is on his way. He could well come back in and spring a surprise on them. They are continuing to push. This is going to take it down to the line. I don't know where I would be putting my money if I was a betting man on where they are. Let's see how they go on. And now Van Elst looking to take the battle to Popovic and Knudsen. He's gone on the front on the left of your screens, and this is starting to distance Martins. Let's look at those times coming up here. Mr. X100 has the fastest time. Why is that?
Because he closed the gap.
He did indeed. On that segment, he's the rider who's closed the gap, and that is the surefire way of knowing that gap has come down. Then it's Van Elst who's on the attack with Popovic, with Nussen, then a 7-second gap back to Osborne, Martins, Cutler and SS. Fantastic to watch. Now, Mr. X100 is now in with Jason Osborne and Martin Martins. They've now got Tim Cutler with them as well. 3 riders in the lead, 4 riders chasing. Of those 7 riders, you know that you've got in there, you've got Mr. X100, you've got Pablo Popovic, and up there you've got Knudsen for the UAE clan team. But you've got Van Elst, you've got Osborne, you've got Martins riding in the Belgian Waffle squad. This is going to come down to a matter of seconds. Don't forget, you'll be able to get all of the results on the MyWhoosh.com website. It's MyWhoosh.com/results. Make sure you jump on there. Remember, the results are unofficial until they are verified, and that is an ongoing process. Starts before our riders jump on their bike and finishes long after.
Yeah, so our leading 3 are now into the final kilometre of racing. There's 900 metres now of this climb until they see the finish line. The gradient's still at 10% at the moment, and it's Knudsen, Van Elst and Popovic. Martins, Osborne, X100 are the riders chasing. They are chasing and chasing hard. Tim Cutler is in there as well. So a leading group of 3, a chase group of 4, and they are into the closing meters of this race.
So the leaders now with 750 meters to go to the finish, less than that, and it's Knudsen and Popovic. Now, Knudsen has given best to Popovic before, regularly on the climbs, so will it be Knudsen's day today? Popovic is with him, and this pressure is losing Van Elst, opening up a time gap behind them, though. There are 3 riders from the Waffles team, so they've got to continue to look to maximise their pace for the team. Mr. X100 has just got on the back of Osborne here. He's right up in the mix as well. So this is literally down to these last few 100 metres. We're into the run in. Knudsen and Popovic are together. They're building up pace, they're building up speed. We are going to hit 300 metres to go. Who is going to do this? This is about who's got the pace there side by side.
And Knudsen comes in, they are side by side. Popovic is in too. As Knudsen pushes on, Popovic is on his wheel. He's on that wheel for the sprint. What's going to take place as they go around this right-hand corner? Knudsen pushes early. So Knudsen's pushed at 9 watts per kilo. He absolutely adamant he wants the win today in the final from Popovic. Knudsen sees that finish line. He's going to cross the line. Knudsen is going to take the win today. So Michael Knudsen is your winner in Category 1 today. This is the May final of the Sunday Race Club.
And into is Popovic. In 3 comes Van Elst. In 4, it's a battle between Osborne and his teammate Martis. They've got everybody coming through. Mistakes 100 is going to come to the line. The first 6 riders are in. 2 teams, 3 riders each. Where's it going to go in that team competition? Tim Cutler comes in for 7th place here today. This is going to come down to fractions of a second in the riders' time. Will it be the clan team? Will it be the team from the Belgian Waffles squad? Well, you can see at the moment this is the individual standings. Knudsen, Popovic, Van Elst, Osborne, Martins, then Mr. X100, followed by Tim Cutler. First of all, great ride by Tim Cutler there. Brilliant ride coming in 7th place. Emma, team competition, where are we at? What are the scores on the doors? Tell us.
Well, at the moment, the results are live at the moment. They have to be verified. But I can tell you, currently, it's the UAE clan team who are winning the team competition by 9 seconds.
So after all that racing, it's 9 seconds in between us. SS comes across. He helped them to that win. He was so instrumental in chasing down the riders behind, and that means that it's going to be an 8th place today for SS, who just comes in and across the line. Top 10 for him after all of the work setting up the finish there for the riders. There goes onto our screens, and you can see that time gap 1 minute 25.288 down. Don't forget, if you want to see what the splits are, how the riders' times stack up, make sure you go onto www.mywhoosh.com/results, or you can go into the mywhoosh.com website and pick it out from the menu bar. Behind, great riding with Valencia taking the win from Santiago, and then it's going to be Castano. They're the first 3 riders in Category 3, the next of our riders home. And don't forget all of our individual riders' results on that website, all unofficial at the moment and live. That will change to verified once that process is done. Great race finish here on the mountains, here on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. And Emma, a fitting finale to what has been a great month of racing.
Oh, absolutely amazing racing today on the finals of the Sunday Race Club. You know, if that is May, I don't know what June is going to bring.
Well, it's known as Flaming June in the UK, where we will be based for our June racing, and we are going to be bringing you all of the action. My name's Mark Payne. I've been in the studio here today with Emma Martin. Emma, where can we find you on social media?
Oh, you can find me on Instagram at BikingEmma.
And don't forget to give us a follow on Full Speed Events. You can follow me, it's at Matt Fixpain, and make sure you tag in at MyWhoosh across all of the social media platforms. Make sure you stay tuned, don't go anywhere. before the end of the show, because we have got a great insight onto some of the great routes that we've got coming up, featuring some fantastic features from the Yas Marina through to the Hudayrat Islands. We've got some fantastically familiar sites if you're from the UAE, and some that you're going to absolutely love to ride. So please do watch. But from Emma, from myself, and from all of the team behind the scenes, stay safe. Enjoy what's coming up. We'll see you again soon. Bye bye.
Goodbye.